Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
You can get up to $700 this month and make a real difference in someone's life when you donate plasma. Find your local CSL Plasma Center and donate today.
ChristopherMedia.net.
From Asthma Core Studios near Detroit, Michigan, it's Unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
And now, here are your hosts.
Welcome to Unregimented number 270. I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Rich.
And we know we're a little late to the party on this story, but we got to get to it. We haven't said anything about it, because I think all of us were kind of sitting back and going, what the fuck's going on here is the Jussie Smollett story.
Right. I mean, I didn't want to comment on it.
Me too.
Because
it's kind of letting it kind of
play out.
Well,
initially it was all really. Initially it went over well. It was looking good for him.
It did, yeah, but it stunk since the beginning. And you know, I'm just saying that, not having any proof, not knowing anything, it just didn't seem right. But there's nothing really to be gained by sticking that out there, is it? By trying to stir something up and go, I don't think this story sounds right, because I'm not the fucking police. What do I know? I didn't investigate any of this.
Like, for me, my thing from the beginning was just, all right, this sounds like someone who got jumped at 2 a.m. I thought like the MAGA stuff was maybe like an embellishment. I was like, this guy got jumped at 2 a.m. wants to make it sound sensationalized. I never dreamed it was heading where it was headed.
That he actually paid the guys to.
He orchestrated it because he was mad about his pay, and so he wanted to raise his profile. Well,
that's interesting. Why I don't. The story about him doing it because he wanted a pay raise seems to come from one police officer speaking off the cuff at a press conference about this.
Well, first of all,
he's kind of speculated. Unless you guys have heard otherwise.
He's on the show Empire.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess,
a very popular show.
Yeah, I've never watched one episode, but I know a lot of people who have. So, I know that, the reports I've heard is he's making $100,000 an episode. That's pretty damn good for a show that's been on for 3-4 years. It was a decade before the people and Friends were making $1 million an episode. I'll take.
Well, what's the proof that any of that has anything to do with why he staged this?
Once again, this is all speculation because we're not privy to the police files.
Sure.
I'm just saying, if that is that police officer's opinion, 2.2 million, let's say there's 22 episodes a year in a season, 2.2 million, that's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, he's not making nothing.
So to me, that just sounds like a cop who's throwing I don't know. I'm just going to, maybe he wanted more money.
I guess that is the lingering question in this whole situation is, why, Jussie? Why?
Well, it's not necessarily the why, it's the, what is the mindset of a person who would go to the lengths that he did to fake this? And I don't really, I get the, people are going, well, he was, his staunch defenders, which are out there, are going, well, he was trying to raise awareness for, against white supremacy and homophobia, and okay, I get that. I don't care about that. We all understand that.
Yeah, there's awareness on any of those, by the way. We're pretty aware.
What psychological defect is in the mind of someone, not necessarily just him, but someone who goes to these lengths? I felt the same way about, remember the chick who's like, I got attacked by the white chick. I got attacked by a gaggle of black folks, and they tried to carve Obama in my head, and it was carved in backwards because she did it in the mirror.
Right. I think that, there's definitely something there. There's this attention seeking from people who don't know how to get it otherwise. It seems, I think what's weird about this case is that this person's already on TV.
Exactly.
They're already famous. They're already well paid. And he
was in the Mighty Ducks.
But still, aside from that, if your behavior is to seek attention for whatever reason, then how much money or fame or attention you're already getting is really kind of besides the point. That's the way that I'm imagining that, not that he has some kind of abusive childhood, and I don't want to just assume that, but let me just guess. Maybe he was a big family. Maybe he was the middle kid of like 5, 6 kids, and just never always felt like he had to. I mean, how many people do we hear about getting into show business in general that have this kind of story? I had a big family. If you wanted attention, you had to talk loud. You had to entertain. You had to stand out. So maybe there's part of that there. That's just an extension of that need, that little hole that he's trying to fill.
Well, I think it's safe to. I mean,
why does anybody lie?
I think it's safe to assume that. I mean, the man is like what, late 20s, early 30s?
He's
Has to be.
36.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, mid 30s. Okay, because he was in the Mighty Ducks.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. He was the token black kid.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, well, I mean, you had Goldberg, but he was the goalie. He was the token fat kid, so that's why they put him in goalie.
He was a twofer.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, I think it's safe to assume a 36-year-old gay black man growing up in America has probably suffered when he was a kid. The amount of abuse we could all assume being a gay black kid would suffer, as far as teasing in school.
We're still talking about Jesse Smollett?
Yeah.
I wasn't aware that he was gay.
Oh yeah. He's openly gay.
Okay.
Or I get, what is it, out of the club, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you're also you're a young black kid and you're into, you're in the AV club, you're in the you're in theater. You're a nerd. You're a nerd. You're gonna take abuse. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna be picked on.
Was there
band kids?
Was there I know that this was there was a racial tone to this assault. Was there a homophobic element to it at all that I missed?
Didn't he claim during his interview with Robin Roberts they called him a faggot or something?
Yes, it's Empire N-word and Empire faggot.
Oh, okay.
Were allegedly shouted at him.
Right.
And this is
really,
MAGA country.
That's the best you could come up with, by the way.
Hey,
come on, you're Hollywood, buddy.
And they poured bleach on his clothes and put a noose around his neck.
Right. Which might have made sense if this was like 1955.
Or this was Mississippi.
Right.
This is Chicago. And
I get making sense is the wrong phrase there, but you know what I mean. That's part of what made this kind of stand out and go, really, this is a little too on the nose. Like, if you handed the script into your writer's room, they would change that.
Yeah, they go,
right?
Okay.
That's too obvious.
And even the neighborhood's initial reaction was like, you sure? Because there's a bunch of black people and Jewish people that live around here.
And by the way, this is...
And what happened to all the brothers in the neighborhood? Why didn't they come out and stop this shit?
And by the way, as the police pointed out, I mean, almost immediately, this is one of the neighborhoods that has the most cameras on it in Chicago, and they couldn't find videotape of the incident. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's like going into a casino and finding the one area where there's not a camera. No, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the eye in the sky sees all.
What has he publicly copped to on this? Has he come out and taken full responsibility for this, or has he just been found out?
I believe he filed a not guilty plea.
Okay.
Well, first of all, filing a false police report, and I'm not sure if it's because he claimed a hate crime. If that makes it go federal, but he's looking at 3 years if he's convicted. Mm-hmm.
What do you think? I mean, do you think that this guy deserves to serve jail time?
I think if any one of the three of us filed a false police report, we wouldn't not see any jail time.
I wonder.
3 years is 3 years of your life is a long time for, hey, look at me.
I don't know what about this makes it federal, but 3 years is 3 years federal. Like, that's not 18 months.
No, I don't know if because he made a hate crime. He filed, it was filed as a hate crime. Usually a hate crime takes it, to where it's mandatory.
That is kind of interesting. Like, we have an escalation for hate crime, but we don't have an escalation for false hate crime, right? We just have false report.
I
We
don't
have
know.
laws that protect us against false hate crimes. That seems a little too specific.
Well, I mean, if there's one thing that we've learned in 200 plus years of America, we love making bullshit laws. So
Yeah.
He faces a felony disorderly conduct charge for allegedly filing a false police report.
Right, which would have been to the local police, which is, I mean, I really doubt that this guy is going to see time.
No, because he's rich.
Do you?
The three of us,
But I'm
probably
kind of curious
need eight.
if you guys think that he should. If you were in charge, if you were the judge on this,
Yes.
would you want to see this guy serve at least 6 months or 3 months, even just for the message? Say,
Yes, and here's why.
yeah,
Pay attention to the news the last few years about Chicago. Chicago cops got a lot better shit to be doing than pouring all their resources into this attack because he's on the TV. All right? If this was Jussie Smollett, the bus driver who got jumped at 2 a.m, they'd have said, here's your police report. Have a nice day. But instead, they've dedicated like a month of resources to this fucking case, and it's Chicago. They got bigger fish to fry. So fuck yeah, this guy should at least give him 3 months. Give him something.
I mean, I can imagine him doing county time. In other words, less than a year. I think probably the way to make a statement would be, okay, you get a month county, whatever, but you also have to reimburse us for all the resources we spent and the court cost, the
Right.
cost of the investigation for your bullshit.
it seems like a lot of people want to see him punished in some way for this, but it also seems that a lot of the reason for that is because he's proving Trump and people who vote for him right.
Let's get into this because
Yeah.
because I'll come from this side, which I rarely do. How about what you've done to actual victims of hate crimes? You've now diminished that, and I've thought of this. This could open another discussion. We now have 2 incidents in the last month. They're 2 very different incidences, but they have the same. The thread that runs through them is the left overreacting, trying to make something that wasn't there. I mean, you have you have the whatever, the kids from Kentucky. You had that overreaction, and then now you have this. This, to me, this is like live in like.
Sorry.
We will give you, as a country, we'll give you examples of us being shitty. We don't need to start manufacturing that.
Well, that's very true. I don't really see it as a one-to-one thing. Like, this was a crime that happened. It was a thing. Whether it was, obviously this wasn't true and it was manufactured, but it was presented as a crime and it happened to a famous person. There's no reason not to report it. I think there was a lot more. There's a lot more reactionary, quote unquote, journalism to the so-called standoff between the kid and the Native American than there was on this.
Well, I mean, but you had people. Corolla was talking about it. People introducing anti-lynching legislation because, again,
What is this? What is this? Burning? Mississippi's burning?
Exactly.
But yeah, these are just like people jumping on a bandwagon looking for something, some cause to hitch themselves to, because we already have crimes against violence and we already have now hate crimes. So what else do you need? I mean, if putting a noose around somebody's neck doesn't qualify as one of those things, then there's bigger problems with our law system.
Like these 2 events just remind me of that meme that's been going around the internet for the last couple of years. With come on, do a civil war, and it's like the guy poking the stick at the Democrats or at the donkey and the elephant.
I definitely see. I see why you're putting these 2 events together, and there's a lot that is. There's a lot similar in our reactions to both events, but they're still 2 really different things, right? Because we should look at, if we see a 30-second video clip, we should ask, what else happened? What is the context? Who are these people? What the fuck is really going on here? And not just make assumptions based off of that little clip. If somebody reports a hate crime, or just not even a hate crime, somebody reports a regular crime, we should take them seriously. If it turns out that it's a lie or that it was fake or it was nothing, well, good. And if it was intentionally done so, then that's why we have such crimes as filing false reports. But I don't think that the lesson should be that we should take every crime reported or even hate crime reported and immediately publicly put it under the microscope. That's not our job.
Well, the job of the police, ideally, is when someone walks in, reports a crime, the investigators start investigating the crime as if it's a fact that it happened.
Sure.
If what they start finding points counter to that, then the shift goes from, we have to prove this happened, to, okay, wait a minute, 2 + 2 is equal to 5 in this case.
Right.
This is some bullshit. We need to figure out what really happened. And at that point, that's where
because if you go into the investigation thinking like this doesn't sound true, then you're going to prove it false, right?
Exactly. But I mean, the reverse holds true also. If you
That's
go
true.
in,
we see a lot of that in police work. Yeah.
Yeah. If you go in convinced there was a crime, and you have an unshakable belief in that, that's why you have to be. That's why, ideally, police inspectors have to have they have to have some flex in them. They have to be able to go, oh, okay, wait a minute. This may be the outcome that I'm trying to prove, but the facts are pointing counter to that. Now I need to pivot and deal with that. Because all I'm dealing with is facts. I'm not dealing with my feelings. But that's very hard to do as a human being.
But it's not really the police behavior that's being called into question, and it's it's a reaction.
Depends who you ask, Darren. Depends who you ask.
Come on, we all lived through the OJ trial.
Well,
it will be before it ends.
Let me clarify. As of yet, I'm sure we will hear something. The chain of custody will have broken down at some point enough to let him off the hook, or give him a reasonable defense or something. But doubtless that will come. But all I'm saying is, the story so far, nobody's claiming that the police did anything wrong or even trying to engineer something. The real question is the behavior of the media and the behavior of the people who watch the media, who read the media. And the case, and that's, I just want to make sure that the distinction between these two events is made, that one is a reported crime. One should be taken seriously. The other is a video clip. It should be scrutinized. It should be questioned. Those are, the end results are very similar, and they shouldn't be. They should be separated.
Well, here's where, to me, it gets complicated. There has been a rise in the reporting of, notice I said reporting of, not necessarily a rise in the percentage of, false police reports about alleged hate crimes or whatever.
Thing. You can only have a statistic on what's reported.
I mean, we have a case, it's on a much smaller scale. But we have a case here of a gay rights activist whose house burned down in 2017, who claimed that, hey, this was a hate crime. It was done by, MAGA, hat-wearing people. And the police are like, no, you set fire to your own house. We sent our arson investigators in, and yeah, it's pretty much, case open, case closed. Sorry, you're not that good at faking a fucking arson. You're just not. And this story is from 2 years ago, and I only heard about it because of the shit with Jesse Smollett. And to me, that the danger is that it reinforces people who are like, oh, all these supposed hate crimes are all bullshit. Really was the gay kid in Texas being dragged to death, by a bunch of inbred yahoos in a pickup truck, was that faked? Did he go, hey guys, let's stage this, and it just went a little too far? Did the situation with Brandon Tina, the transgender teen who his friends found out used to be a woman and raped and beat him to death, was that staged? I mean, it puts me in a position of understanding when I hear people make false rape accusations, and people are like, but it doesn't matter what that person says. It doesn't negate a real rape accusation. The problem is that we all know there are many people in this world, more than we're comfortable with, who are like, one false accusation negates all real accusations. That's ultimately my concern for the fallout from this situation.
Link to the outliers.
Yeah, but that it means that to people who are going to think that anyway.
I can see that. Like they're
if you're so close-minded that you're just willing to, right? If you're willing to take one event and extrapolate it to a whole gender or race or any group of people, then you're just a lazy-minded person, and you weren't going to get to some higher level of thinking on your own anyway.
Well, and I think you nailed it. Lazy-minded. They're not thinking for themselves. They're just getting confirmation bias from their news sources, and they go, "Well, there you go. See, every time there's a supposed hate crime, I mean, it's. I think we talked about this on the air. It's like the swastikas that were supposedly drawn on somebody's house." And there was like 4 versions of the swastika, and they were all wrong. Like, really? What? Like, I'm of two minds of that. At one point, I'm like, yeah, well, if you're probably a neo-Nazi, maybe you're not that bright. But on the other hand, I'm like, if you're a neo-Nazi, you can't properly draw the symbol that defines you.
You're a shitty neo-Nazi.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what kind of short bus did you take to the hate rally?
And two, after the second try, why not just write "fuck the Jews"? I mean, it gets the same message across.
Like, fuck kites, and they're like, kites.
Spray paint's expensive. I'm wasting it.
Like Porky Pig. Like, I'm gonna draw a swat. Fuck the Jews.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's all Jews, like just.
Well, white supremacists, I could go either way with that. Either they might not know how to draw it, or maybe they're faking it. It's when it's when white people try and fake like Latino gang graffiti, and it doesn't have any like devil points in it or anything, and you're like, nope.
Instead of MS-13, it's MS-31. What kind of dyslexic gangbanger was fucking tagging this shit over here? What the fuck? Well, if he did fake this, and let's be honest here, authorities have concluded it is a hoax. Now that's the conclusion.
Right, proof that he paid these guys off has been found. Right.
That's what the police have come to. Now they hand it to the prosecutor. The law has spoken. The order now has to take place. It needs to be proven in a court of law.
Dun dun.
Let's assume.
Jack McCoy.
Let's assume that Hang 'em High McCoy is going to get the case and he's going to prove it right. To me, the biggest crime this guy did is not a false police report. It's not seeking attention. He's an actor who wants attention. Shocking. Okay? It's you cocksucking motherfucker. You're driving a wedge deeper into a fucking cavernous wedge we already got for your own personal fucking ego stroking. You piece of shit. You are part of the fucking problem.
I'm head of DNC. I'm calling this guy and going, what the fuck are you doing? There's an election in like a year and a half.
Yeah. And it's kind of sad that all the energy that he put into this, right? Why couldn't he just be an advocate for people who are being abused, who are are victims of hate crimes?
That's why I said the psychology behind it. Not necessarily as a topic for the show, but it's like the psychology behind serial killers or something like that. That's always fascinated me more so than the crime. I don't need to know the grisly details of what Jeffrey Dahmer did. I want to know why he did it. What was going on in his mind that made him think that, kidnapping people and drilling holes in their head and pouring acid in there to try to turn them into zombies that'll love me forever. That's a perfectly good way to go about trying to find a piece of ass.
Well, that's that Mindhunter shit.
Yeah, that's what fascinates.
That is a broken brain.
Well, I mean, but that's and as much as I've been accused, a few times on this show, and much more off the air of being a reductionist, that is a reductionist view of it. Yes, it's a broken brain, it's a miswired person, but I gotta believe that nature and nurture play a fucking role in this. It's not just one or the other.
Okay.
It's not a binary choice here.
But I don't see that as Jesse Smollett. I don't see Jesse Smollett as having a broken brain. I find him to have a lazy brain that gave into the easy temptation of getting this attention, right? I mean, this is how people fall into this trap of making these false claims, of writing shit not backwards on their own forehead to try and get attention. And they will, and people will automatically just flock to them without question with thoughts and prayers.
Well, I said thoughts and prayers.
So I'm not condoning and I'm not excusing it. I'm not saying that he and others that make false claims are victims of our society, but they are kind of the result of it.
Well,
we love that validation nowadays. It's like a new drug.
This is the extension of victimhood culture.
Exactly. Thank you. That's exactly. You took the words literally right out of my mouth as I was about to say them. This is what happens when we don't trade.
This old chestnut.
It's
2 nights ago.
It's the truth. I mean, it's why it's well-worn carpet, because we don't learn from our mistakes. We don't learn from the past. All right. This is what happens when you don't trade in personal accomplishment, what you've done, when we value victimhood more than we value accomplishment. I mean, think about it. This is a 36-year-old black man who is gay, who has beaten winning the lottery odds and is a star on a major show on a major network. But it's not good enough. For whatever reason, it's not good enough. I mean, that is a thinking problem, because I'm sure any one of us would be like, if we were in his position, I hope all of us, all three of us would be like, God damn, just take a look around at what I've accomplished. The odds I've beaten. That validates me more than any fucking thing anyone can say about me, you know? But when we deal in victimhood, and that's our currency, nope, you're not victimized enough. You need to be victimized more. You need to search it out. And if you can't find it, hey, let's invent it. Unfortunately, that's the mindset of too many people for me to be comfortable with these days. I mean, we're all victims to an extent.
But if you believe the narrative, he's black and gay. He should have no opportunities. How do you win the lotto? How do you get a job where he makes $2.2 million a year?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, what is so bent or broken in him that he doesn't look at it like that? Where he looks at it like, no, I need something else. Is it simply attention? Is it he has a very let's just be completely honest, his moral compass ain't pointing north. Okay, well, does he have a very fucked up idea of somehow this is going to help other people if he faked this?
Well, I know that these aren't accurate terms that we're using to describe his mental capacity. Just describe him as bent, that something is wrong with him, that he's miswired in some way. But it's kind of like everything's relative, right? You can only judge sanity based on what most people do in situations. And to us, this sounds like insane behavior. I think when taken in a whole of his generation, I think it's arguable. It's not really that. It's not good behavior. Again, it's not something that should be condoned, but it's not totally insane either.
This is like a planned virtue signal, though. Like, it's
right. He's speaking in the language of his generation. I'm not defending it, but I'm saying it's not.
It bothers me because he's only 3 years younger than me. A little too close.
Well, I'm speaking. I don't know what technical generation he belongs to, but from his actions, he's a millennial.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Chris, I mean, hey, look, you got two guys right here. We like our rent paid. I mean, if you want to pay us to beat you up and say that, we put fuck Saddam or something sign around your neck because, you're Lebanese or something, we can muddy the water about your heritage and commit a hate crime for you. Quote unquote, commit a hate crime.
It would have to be you'd have to be French or Israeli.
I mean, hey, you co-sign on a home loan. I'm faking whatever crime you want, homeboy. You know what I'm saying?
Come over and dump sand over your head, throw weed at you.
Throw a camel in your yard. I don't give a fuck. I mean, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but no, you're right, Aaron. To me, this is insane is the wrong term. This isn't insanity because he obviously knows right from wrong, or else, you know.
Right. He did whatever he did knowing the reaction that he was going to get, right? Yeah. Insane would be is if he did something that went against him and his quest for attention or fame or popularity or whatever. If he, you know, like insane is like Britney Spears type behavior, right? Is shaving your head crazy? No, not really. Is shaving your head when you're like the world's biggest pop star and all these little girls look up to you and want to be you and everyone's dad wants to bone you?
That's alcohol.
And then shaving your head for attention? Yeah, that's maybe a little insane.
I would say beating the shit out the car with the umbrella.
That was like fuck attention, fuck the world. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to, right? This is
someone with too
orchestrating events to play out exactly how you want them to for an end result that you know is going to come because you know the society. You know how they're going to react. You know the outpouring of thoughts and prayers that are going to come. That's why I'm saying it's not. I can't describe it as insane because it's almost practical, right? It's the shortcut. He could have went the long way and been the social justice warrior and fought for everyone that's been oppressed in this country and built up a reputation that way. Or he could just skip straight to victimhood and get the same result, possibly even stronger.
It's true.
Yeah.
What mystifies me, maybe Rich, sounds like maybe you're not on this side as much as us, or maybe tell me if it's a good out turn for you, Rich. What mystifies, there's no upside. That's what gets me. Like, what was your goal here? There's got to be a win in it for you. What was the win?
Well, that's what I'm talking about. That was the win, his reward. Everybody's opinion of him.
Well, I guess this is where the difference between me and him makes a difference. That's not a win to me.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If you did that, I would think it would be insane. Because what are you trying to accomplish?
Yes.
It's not insane to me because I know clearly what he was trying to accomplish, and he accomplished it until he got caught.
I hope it was worth it. Because isn't Fox suspended him definitely?
I guess it's a long way of saying don't hate the player, hate the game.
True.
Well, didn't
he get the Kevin Spacey treatment too?
No, they took him off the show. They according to NPR, there's 6 episodes left, 2 of which have been filmed. He has been, Kevin Spacey completely removed from the 2 that were filmed, right. And he has been fired from his job on the show.
He got fired. Last I heard.
Look, I mean, either way, it's not like you're one of the cast members of Friends, right?
It's true.
You can be killed off. You can go to another country. You can be written off your show. I'm sure I've never seen it, but I'm sure there's a number of different ways. You get an ensemble cast drama, people can come and go. This isn't like Frasier, where like Niles' character, what's his name, David Hyde Pierce, is renegotiating a contract. What are you going to do? Kill off Niles? Not going to happen. All right, now pony up. No, he doesn't have that position. He's like, bye-bye. You're going on a plane ride over an ocean, and we'll never see your ass again.
It's a show about I believe a hip hop label based in Chicago. So all they pretty much have to do is have Puffy and J-Lo show up, and like accidentally on purpose shoot him, and then Shine goes to prison for 10 years for it. So that's all you got to do.
Oh, they just give him the Poochie treatment, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he was beamed to his homeworld where he died, or whatever the fuck it was. I forget exactly. Well, I mean, ultimately, here's the thing. I empathize a little bit with people who threw in support behind him and were like, look, this is fucked up shit like this happens. Well, and then it comes out.
Why only a little bit?
Hold on. Then it comes out that. Let me finish about it's like person I'm talking about. Then it comes out that the police are going to, and the prosecutor is going to charge him with a false report, and they're so hard-headed, they can't go, you know what, he fucked up, he's an idiot, he's an asshole, he doesn't represent the mainstream majority, fuck him. No, they still have to hold on and be like, well, I mean, he may have lied, but this is his truth, and in his truth, and yes, I've seen comments like that, and I'm just like, what world do you people live in? I have a little bit of empathy for them because
the Chicago police officers too.
I mean, I have a little bit of empathy for them because I feel like they're trying to get to that righteous point, but they don't care if they have to take a fucking evil path to it. And that ultimately, you can't build a righteous temple on a fucking uneven base, on a bullshit base. But these people don't see that. So I have a little bit of empathy for them. That's the people I have a little bit of empathy for.
Well, I think those people are like, I don't like to make statements like there's two kinds of people in this world, right? But sometimes there are two kinds of people in the world. And there's people who seek the truth in everything, and there's others that just want enough information to find out where they fit into it and then latch onto it like a belief. This is like the flat earthers, right? I mean, do they really believe this shit? It doesn't even matter. What they believe is that they have faith in something, right? They want to belong to something. They want to be part of a movement. It doesn't even matter if it ends up being factually true or not.
Imagine the greatest collection of real-life entertainment on the planet, all in one place. Go ahead. Dare to stream with Discovery Plus. Stream now. Stream what you love.
Discovery Plus is the greatest collection of real-life entertainment on the planet. 55,000 episodes from networks like TLC, HGTV, and tons more. Woohoo! Discovery Plus. Stream now. Stream what you love.
At Jewelers Mutual, we're a little obsessed with jewelry. Obsessed like auctioneers with talking fast.
50, we're going to sold.
Pop stars with auto-tune.
Yeah.
And dentists with asking questions.
So, how did he propose?
After they've put their hands in your mouth.
Great.
Yes, we've made jewelry our obsession for over 100 years. We love it so much we named our kids Ruby, Amber, and Opal.
Venti soy latte for Opal?
At Jewelers Mutual, we insure jewelry and only jewelry, which is why people who are also obsessed with jewelry trust us with theirs.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
Well, since you said flat earthers, Rich, I believe you saw an interesting movie.
Yeah, I didn't bring them up on accident. There's been a lot of talk about this new doc on Netflix.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet.
I watched it the other night. It's called Behind the Curve, and it's a, excuse me, rather, in my opinion, it's a lot more even-handed than I could have been making a documentary about people who believe the Earth is flat.
How do you handle that even-handedly?
Yeah, no point.
I can imagine it being sympathetic
and the camera just dropping.
When I say even-handedly, I mean
I couldn't be a cameraman on that doc. It'd be shaking constantly.
Shaking. Yeah.
It lets the flat earthers state their case, show themselves as, besides their belief in flat Earth, as just average human beings from all across the spectrum. Some are
normalizing.
Some are highly intelligent people who are very good at there's engineers, there's mechanics, it's amazing the people that they showed, because it'd have been real easy just to be like, flat earthers are stupid. Go to that website, find the people attacking that website, and go, okay, so what's your mother's basement's address so I can come interview you, and find the lowest common denominator. No, they actually found people across an entire spectrum and said, that is humanity, and said, why do you believe this? And it's a fascinating documentary because, in my mind, it's like a microcosm of humanity. it shows you, first of all, there's the gentleman who is pretty much the centerpiece of the documentary is, I can't remember his first name. His last name's Sargent. He has, surprise folks, a podcast that he's been doing about flat Earth, and he's close with his mom.
5 on the comedy charts.
Et cetera, et cetera. And they show all that. But the one thing that he does that I see constantly in day-to-day life is that he thinks he knows something that other people don't know, and he's trying. It's a Jesus complex. I want to save other people.
Right.
Like, you don't understand. You're being lied to. You're being lied to, and I'm trying to show you the light. Everybody who tries to turn on a light in a dark room throughout history has been called an idiot, a fool. And that's just, you just don't know, because, history hasn't played out yet. It's playing out.
Okay.
Well, maybe he explains this, but in order to say that you're being lied to convince somebody of that, you've got to give them a good reason as to why they're being lied to.
Okay.
What's the advantage of telling somebody that the Earth is round when it may not?
That's where the fascinating part of the documentary. Once he states his case, they start going into the people who are flat earthers who agree with him, and what's more fascinating, the flat earthers who disagree with him, to the point where he has an enemy, his polar opposite, who's a flat earther, who says he's a CIA plant. His real name is this.
Wow.
He is full of shit. He's lying to you. To the point where he tries to go on his YouTube channel and infiltrate conferences where this gentleman, the Sargent guy, speaks, and I guess protest him, break him up, pull the fire alarm in the middle of, even though that doesn't happen, because believe it or not, these flat earthers they're pretty prudent in vetting who comes into these places. It's kind of shocking. They make sure that the audience is stacked with people who, for the most part, believe what's being said on the stage.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If Trump had that, we wouldn't have had the scenes we had from the 2016, run up to the election where it was, get him out of here, get him out. It kind of makes me wonder, on a conspiracy theory tip, just real quick, did they let that person in so Trump could do that? You know what I'm saying? But anyways, that's the other thing.
Possible.
It goes into, well, what other conspiracies do you believe? And it's funny because there's a hierarchy of conspiracy theories, and somehow flat earthers have moved up to the top of the conspiracy theory totem pole.
Does he think we've landed on the moon?
No.
Shocking.
Yes. They use a lot of made up words, and yes, I understand. Existentially, all words are made up. I get that. But I mean,
they make up their own words for stuff.
Yes, and the global-tastic heliosphere, and I'm like, is there a hyphen in there? No, that's all one word. Okay, all right, and all right, and you're just listening to them, and they're talking, and they're like, basically, it's a dome.
Yeah, who built the dome?
I'm like, so this is a Stephen King book? It's Under the Dome. This is the Simpsons movie. Yes, exactly. And that's where you start to splinter. Aaron, you nailed it. Who built the dome? For some people, they say the earth is flat because, well, the Bible says there's 4 corners of the world. And if there's 4 corners of the world, that means the world is square.
Okay, so is this where
flat square?
Is this where they're explaining? Because the pre-show chat, I said if I ever got a flat earther in the room, I would just ask a couple questions. All right, we are now in the day and age. Everyone's got a fucking television studio in their pocket. Why are there no pictures? And we love capitalism, right? The world. We love why is there no end of the earth? Why can I not go stay at a hotel at the end of the earth? Why is there no pictures? Why can I not buy the fucking T-shirt at the end of the earth?
Because as the film's protagonist, Sargent, or documentary's protagonist, Sargent, he has it seems like unrequited love with another flat earther whose name escapes me, but she does a podcast too, and they both do each other's podcast, and and then they get together, and confirmation bias ensues, and as she puts it, it's the powers that should not be. And yes, proper noun status is in full effect. The way she says it, you can hear the capital letter at the beginning of every word. The powers that should not be. And it's they try to ask her, who is that? And it's like she just gives these vague answers. And then, it cuts to, slam cut to other people they're asking at conventions. Who do you believe is perpetuating the myth of a round Earth? And it's, the Rothschilds, the Illuminati, and like you get all the normal answers you'd expect. And it's just that's the thing. There's no consensus. The only consensus is the world is flat. We're being lied to, and we know it, and we have to let everyone else know it. And I mean, they actually there's a scene where they go to the Space Center in Houston, and
there's just lies, all lies.
Yes,
they call it the House of Lies.
Yes. There is a mannequin wearing one of the suits that the Apollo astronauts wore, and they walk up to it and they go, "Okay, so we walked on the moon, but look at its wrist." And on this mannequin's wrist is a like a Timex watch, but the band is broke, so it's almost slipped off the mannequin's hand. They go, "We went to the moon, but they can't put a working watch on the fake uniform they wore to the moon." Really? Look at this. See this?
What you take away from this?
And then they work their way over to where they have a Saturn V rocket, and they go to the bit. And the building's fucking huge. If you know anything about Saturn V rockets, I mean, they're fucking huge. And she's like, recording him, and he's like, "I'm going to try the door." She goes, I don't know if you should. This is a government installation. And she goes, or installation, and he goes, "I'm going to try it." And he opens it. He goes, "It's open." And they walk in, and they're like, "We're the only ones here. Look at this. If this wasn't a conspiracy, wouldn't this be full of scientists and people?"
What?
Exactly. And then she hands the camera to him, and he puts the camera on her, and she goes, "I'm going to say something that's never been spoken here. The Earth is flat." And she yells it, and it's like you can just see this is her like, you can't handle the truth moment. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right? Yeah. No, there's a reason. Yeah, they don't hire those people at NASA.
How many babies does she have?
I'm sure if you went in proclaiming the Earth is
zero.
None, but a lot of cats.
They're all her babies, okay?
And shocking.
It's fine. They won't grow up to be human. I'm fine with that.
Shocking. She's a redhead. I mean, I'm not trying to say that redheads are like,
Yeah, they have normally pink vagina.
Sorry, Dawn, but I'm just saying, like I've met a lot more crazy redheads than I have. Just seems to. I don't know. Whatever.
That's a stereotype.
Yeah, whatever. I'm connecting dots that don't need to be connected. I'm a flat earther all of a sudden. Okay, but no.
This is. I have to see this though, because I know you're saying that this is kind of represents the current environment. This is representative of discussions that we're having all the time, where we just blindly pick a side and ignore facts.
And that's what Sargent keeps saying through the whole thing. He goes, "The reason we're winning and the scientific community is losing." And it's like, wait a minute, hold on a sec. Time the fuck out.
They're not teaching your shit in schools, so how are you winning?
Yeah, how exactly. Which gets to the scene that Aaron, you mentioned in the pre-show talk, where he's at a conference and he's giving a speech, and it's a question and answer period, and a 12-year-old stands up and says, "How high is the dome?" And he goes, "How old are you?" Kid goes, "I'm 12." And he goes, "How'd you get here?" "My parents brought me." And everybody stands up and claps, and like I'm just like, wow, you just validated this kid's insanity. Like this is as you said in the pre-show chat, this is indoctrination. This is exactly what this is. But I mean, at the same time, because my mind works the way it does, is that any different than how we teach children anything? We ask them a question. If they tell us what we want to hear, we give them a good grade. We praise them. We pat them on the back.
It's not based in fact. So it's different from.
Well, that's where when they have scientists and physicists on, they're like, look, here's the deal. These people, Basically, they paraphrase the old Dave Chappelle quote. It's dangerous to call them crazy because it's dismissive. These are not people who this is their sole purpose. You know, these are contributing members of society. Some are highly intelligent, who excel at, you know, what they've, you know, their chosen field. They just have a belief that to the rest of us, it's like, really? You believe that? And instead of sitting down and talking to them and trying to present facts, it's so much easier just to go, you're fucking nuts, and I'm done. I'm done talking to you. But then it does kind of point out at the end, because there's an experiment going on throughout the documentary with a different group. They're trying to prove that the Earth has no curvature by firing a laser through like pieces of styrofoam that are spaced so far apart. And they're like,
on a plane?
And they're like, well, if this laser goes all the way through and it never drops, we've proved the world is flat. But if it drops, then we've disproved our own theory. And they try the experiment, and ta-da, the laser drops because there is a curvature to the Earth. And they go, well, and they just go, then we must have messed up somewhere. Yeah, because these results are all wrong.
It's like the assholes who predict the end of the world, and then it doesn't. Oh, wait, we messed up the calculation.
What experiment could possibly convince you when the effects of the Earth being round, of gravity existing, which is why the Earth is round, are felt on every human being at all times?
Yes.
It's literally all around you. It is the reason you're not flying. There's an easy explanation for why celestial objects are round, and there's zero explanation for why one would be flat.
Well, someone does ask, well, wait a minute. You see Jupiter through a telescope.
From the side.
And Jupiter is round. And they're like, but it doesn't prove it's not flat. And it's like... But then
see, Saturn is actually two planets, and you're seeing one from the top view and one from the side view superimposed to make it look like a ring around a round planet.
The moon is just a hologram anyway.
But
it's not a hologram. That's where the lizard people have their observation base.
There was a disappointing. There was not enough mention of lizard people, and because I have to say. Because the redhead that this sergeant guy is like infatuated with, who he does, you know, on and off, he does podcast with, you know, she's getting attacked too by the other group in the Flat Earth Society, community, and they harp on it. It's a community, and I'm like, oh, I bet it is. So was Jamestown. Yeah, it was a community too, but you know, whatever. That she's a lizard person, and you can watch her YouTube videos and watch her eyes change. And I was like, please show me one of these videos where people claim this, because I love those idiots. Like those people, like those, what was it, David Icke or whoever, you know, the lizard people control. They're my favorite. Because I had personal experience. I was in a band with a guy for years and years, and after a show one night, we were at the after party, and you know, alcohol and some other things might have been ingested. And I'm talking one-on-one with him, and he had never come off as a nutbag, not once, up until this point where he's like, Richard, I got to tell you something. We never went to the moon. That's propaganda propagated by our lizard overlords. And I was like, dude, I'm too high.
2, 3, 4.
Seriously. Yeah, I'm like, are you fucking with me right now? And he's like, no, I'm dead serious. Here, let me pull up on YouTube some videos and show you. And I was like, oh boy, I'm just high enough to enjoy this too much. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but yeah, you know, this shit is spreading. Not just flat earthers, but this mentality that people are applying to other. I mean, there's plenty of people who would scoff at flat earthers, but yet believe their own outrageous nonsense.
Yeah, and that's
look at the. I'll tell you a story about what happened to Jacob Wohl this week, or what happened with him. Well, what happened to him was he got kicked off of Twitter. It's kind of incidental, but I think it was because there was like an entire week of him harping on this representative. What's her name? Something Omar. Ilhan.
Omar coming.
I think it's Ilhan Omar, right? And he cooked up this ridiculous story that she got her citizenship because they would look more favorably on a married woman. So she married one of her brothers in order to come to America. Right?
Oh, this story. Okay.
So yeah, right. So it's like he's Trump Jr., so to speak. He's got his own birtherism movement. Right now, he's claiming that she's in this country illegally because she faked these documents because she married her brother. And so then he goes to and he films all of this with his idiot companion Laura Loomer, and they go walking around the city looking for her. And like go to her home with a document. They call it an affidavit, right? It's a document that states that she did not marry any of her brothers, and they want to get her to sign it. But it keeps talking about it like it's some official like they're serving her. They're going to serve her this document.
I was ask people like this: are you bored?
Right?
Do you not have a job?
He's got like 176,000 Twitter followers. Like this guy gets attention for this shit. So they don't find her because probably she's fucking working. Like, what the fuck are you doing walking around the city during the day?
Go back to your home country?
And then that's somehow proof that it's all true. Because what? She was avoiding them because she didn't sign the document?
That's like telling the bill collector, well, you couldn't find me. I don't owe you the money.
Right. Yeah. I feel like, okay, because I've never titty fucked Carmen Electra. Then her or her tits don't exist. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that line of logic.
They posted all this stuff about how just off screen, of course, is their security crew that they're rolling around Chicago with. And then somebody actually saw them out filming and recorded them alone, the two of them with not alone, but the two of them with one other guy recording them, and no security. And then all of a sudden, there's pictures of them with their quote unquote security crew, which includes like some dude wearing Crocs, like out in the snow. I don't even know why anybody would be wearing Crocs, but certainly not if your job was to protect somebody.
Well, hi, I'm Secret Service and I'm undercover. I'm wearing Crocs in the snow.
He's deep undercover.
Yeah, it's a part of the deep state, you know. Yeah,
right.
But I'm sorry, real quick to answer Chris's question, because you did ask a very good question. If there is an end of the world, why hasn't there been an expedition to find it, or the edge of the world?
Yes.
They asked this sergeant gentleman during the documentary,
Instagram or Facebook or Twitter.
They asked this sergeant guy at the end of the or near the end of the documentary, why hasn't somebody did just what you said, Chris? And he goes, well, we have very, very wealthy, high up people in the power structure who are funding a trip to the edge of the world. And they're like, well, who are they? Well, I can't name them because obviously
you don't know.
They'll be seen as kooks.
They don't exist.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
where are you going to start, and what direction are you going to head in?
Well, I mean, if it's square, just start where you are and start walking.
Yeah,
and then get in a boat, start paddling.
Get there.
Well, you're assuming that you get there to one of them eventually, but you're assuming that you're in the center.
Well, I mean, but if let's say California is only 100 miles from the edge of the world, well, that's 100 miles. Shit, we can sail that, right? I mean,
but what if the Pacific Ocean is the middle of the world and all the continents are on the outside?
Then I go to the edge of the world at New York and throw a rock off it, make a wish. I don't know. Oh, and the other thing is this guy.
No, correct answer is kill yourself.
This guy.
If you find yourself going down this line of thinking, just do the rest of the population a favor.
This guy attributes the movie The Truman Show to being a flat Earth believer.
Right.
He says, until we hit the edge, we're not going to believe it, even though we're going to have all this. We've had all this proof for thousands of years. It's just like Truman. He had to walk out of the set to understand that it's really all just, stage lighting for us. And I'm just like, that, to me, that speaks to what it is. It's a narcissistic, we are the center, and they say, and this is said by many different people, you are special. You are unique. It's like a photo negative of Fight Club.
Right.
It's like your beliefs do matter. Don't let them tell you they don't. And I just have to wonder. I know this is very well worn carpet on the show, but is this part of the, the Barney, I love you, you love me, everything you think is valid. There's no such thing as, truth. There's only your truth. Is this because they literally do show via Google searches and stuff that there's been a spike in this in the last 5-6 years. Like it literally went from just, white noise on the internet to boom, one of the most searched conspiracy theories in the history of the internet.
Could be another symptom of the quote unquote disease.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. Here's the thing. I love conspiracy theories from the point of, to me, it's fascinating the lengths people will go to explain things that they don't like. The JFK assassination, the magic bullet theory. For years and years, that was the headshot for JFK conspiracy theorists. The magic bullet theory. Tell me how a bullet's going to hit somebody, exit their body, stop in midair for 0.2 seconds, make a left, go down, and then do all this. And then Mythbusters did something so beautifully simplistic. They just went and they got the fucking Lincoln that he was riding in, and they showed that the seats weren't sitting directly behind the other. They were offset.
Mm-hmm.
And when they showed the trajectory of the bullet, boom, no more magic bullet theory. And what little doubt I had in my mind that, maybe there's something to the magic bullet theory. Maybe we are being fed bullshit on that. I was like, oh, all right, well, that pretty much proves that. So,
right.
Yeah.
I would clarify, not that there's something to the idea of the magic bullet. The magic bullet theory is kind of a term that's used ironically because it's basically the difference between one shooter or two shooters.
Yes. That was as they put in JFK, that was the proof that if you don't believe this bullet did this, there has to be two shooters.
Right.
And I mean, the reality of the situation was, they went, and this is a glaring fuck up by the Warren Commission. Why they put those two, the diagrams of a seat directly behind the other one instead of it being offset, which if you've ever sat in the back of a car, you know that the edge of your seat in the back of the car is different than the edge of a seat with bucket seats in the front, because you're not up against the side of the car like you are in the back seat. You have room between you and the door. I mean, it's like no one thought of this for 40 years until Mythbusters did it, or 50 years until Mythbusters did this. But apparently, they were at least the first ones to do it and put it out there on that big of a scale. And I mean, like I said, that to me was like, well, there goes that theory. And that proves that, well, one person did the shooting. And I mean, from there, you just have to, you can extrapolate what you want. But the people who still believe that there was multiple shooters and Oswald was what he said he was. I'm just a patsy. I'm just taking the fall here. Nope, that doesn't prove a thing. That's a flawed experiment. Those, just like I said at the end of this documentary, these flat earthers who conduct this experiment and get the exact opposite of results of what they were looking for go, well, we must have fucked up somehow. We have to find another experiment because this isn't the right result. That's not how the scientific process works. And they do point that out. In fact, they kind of draw a parallel between religious people and flat earthers, where they start at a conclusion and try to work backwards to prove the conclusion they've already made their mind up on.
Yeah, that sounds very plausible.
So, yeah. I'm sorry. That's if you haven't seen it, Behind the Curve, it's on Netflix. It's like only an hour and 20 minutes long, I think. It's a very good documentary, and it's entertaining. Maybe not for the same reasons that I would find it. I found it entertaining, but I'm sure there's a flat earther or two listening, going, "Fuck these fuckers, making fun of me." All right, well,
please, I'd like to believe that our audience is smarter than that.
It's true.
I that's one of the things they point out. There's one in every crowd. You just don't know it. Some people just aren't comfortable speaking up.
Don, we hope it's not you.
At Jewelers Mutual, we're a little obsessed with jewelry. Obsessed like auctioneers with talking fast.
50, we're going to fit sold.
Pop stars with auto-tune.
Yeah.
And dentists with asking questions.
So, how did he propose?
After they've put their hands in your mouth.
Great.
Yes, we've made jewelry our obsession for over 100 years. We love it so much we named our kids Ruby, Amber, and Opal.
Venti soy latte for Opal?
At Jewelers Mutual, we insure jewelry and only jewelry, which is why people who are also obsessed with jewelry trust us with theirs.
Imagine the greatest collection of real-life entertainment on the planet, all in one place. Go ahead. Dare to stream with Discovery Plus. 55,000 episodes from networks like TLC, HGTV, Food Network, and more. If you can dream it, you can stream it. See what I did there? Discovery Plus. Stream now. Stream what you love.
What makes hardwood flooring so special? The way light reflects off its knots and grooves? Or the way it stays warm and inviting, even for hundreds of years? Is it the unmistakable texture beneath our feet? Yes, probably all that stuff. And you can get it all in hundreds of varieties and colors at LL Flooring. Need help choosing a beautiful new floor? Use Picture It, our online visualizer, to see our floors in your space. Only at llflooring.com.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
Well, what else is going on this week then? You guys check out any of the Cohen testimony?
No. Heard it was
yeah, me neither. I don't know if I could stomach it. I'm all for him doing it. That's fine. I think there's some people out there that maybe still need to be convinced and need to hear the whole story in a more linear fashion like that. But we're not learning anything here, except for that Trump has a black friend.
I was about to say, that's the best part. That's the best part.
Right.
It's so like in The Godfather. There's either one or two where they bring the brother from Italy to sit there and just see, look, I'm testifying in front of Congress. Here's my brother. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not in the mafia,
but I mean,
he's from Italy. You know,
I'm confused. Does Ben Carson not count? Doesn't he have two black friends? Or
right.
He just works with Ben, so Ben doesn't count.
I don't know. It was just to think that somebody would still say this in 2019 and it not be a joke. The idea that Trump can't be racist because he hired a black woman.
Well, technically, slave owners hired a bunch of black people.
Well,
they just didn't pay him worth a shit.
Right.
So, just a little bit more, just a little bit less than Walmart pays their employees. So, I mean, I
guess it was black Trump employee Lynn Patton.
I'm with you, Aaron. I was like, wait, what year is this? Is this a Simpsons skit? Is this a Saturday Night Live skit?
She got out friends.
Bring out the one black person that we can think that's going to look good on camera, and have him just sit there while he testifies.
And I've been telling all my friends I work somewhere else. God damn it! Now I got to quit.
I think the most damning part of the entire testimony was when Cohen was asked, how many times were you instructed directly by Trump to harass or threaten somebody? And he goes, oh, too many to count. They were like 10, more, 50, more, 100, more, 500. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so you were his hammer.
He's a lawyer.
Yeah, essentially, yeah, you are his legal henchman. That is what you are.
As Trump puts it, one of many lawyers that worked for me, and he had other clients. Yeah, name one, Trump.
Donald Trump Jr.
There's black chick sitting behind him. We're very good friends. I respect her very. What's her name? We're very good friends, and I respect her.
I think it's Letitia or something. It's Lynn, actually. Oh, that was close, right? Letitia, Laquisha.
Letitia's her middle name. It's
I bet her middle name's weird, though, right?
Tisha, Sequisha. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's her name. Yeah, that's it. That's the ticket. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, like, I thought about, watching some of it, but it was too depressing to think about. Although this might be, I've stated many times that I think the most important aspect of the Mueller investigation is going to be the story put together in a linear fashion that people can follow. This Cohen testimony, and he's got more to come, I guess. He's coming back next week, might be the best version of that we ever get. And in that respect, might be more powerful and damning, whatever it becomes of it, than the Mueller investigation itself. And it may be that, to say that it might be more damning than the Mueller investigation would mean that the Mueller investigation is going to be quite ineffectual at bringing any actual charges against anyone who matters. Well, I shouldn't say anyone that matters. There's plenty of people who matter that have been charged, but...
Well, this is a question I was thinking of while listening to various news sources report on this. Not everybody, but a lot of people that would, were the talking head commentators that gave their opinion after the news was reported were like,
I'm sorry, the news about that he was going to testify, or the news after he testified?
The news about the testimony, et cetera, et cetera. They have the commentators afterwards.
Right.
A lot of these commentators were like, why is nothing sticking to Trump? And the one thing that came to mind is, are you people retarded? That's what makes a good criminal, is that he knows how to position himself to where shit doesn't stick to him. That's what makes a good sociopath, where other people end up taking the fall.
Well,
he has other people do his dirty work for him. He's not out to. Do you think? I mean, it's a TV show, but it would do TV shows. But for the most part, look at TV shows about criminals. Do you see the head criminal out there doing dirt himself, episode in, episode out? No, he has people to do it for him.
I don't know how much I can agree with that, because I think the shit is sticking to him. It's just a question of whether people see it or not, or whether it matters to them.
Well, I'm making an assumption here, so bear with me. Mm-hmm. In these commentators' minds, they were thinking that there was going to be like the smoking gun in his hand with the gunshot residue. And it's like, well, no, he's not going to put himself in that position unless he absolutely has to. He's wealthy enough to hire lawyers to do his dirty work, to hire other people to do his dirty work, and create plausible deniability between the crime and himself.
The best I think you're going to find with Trump is the receipt for the gun, the receipt for the bullets. You're not going to. Yeah,
it's almost like they were expecting to find we got him with a pitcher standing over a dead body as he's pumping bullets into it. It's like that's not reality. That's
well, what is reality? I mean, ultimately, it's not like anybody's signing anything. Hey, do you want me to talk to the Russians? Let me get back to you on that in a memo that I will put my signature on. I mean,
no, he has people to do that for him.
No. He doesn't have people to do that for him. He directs people to do shit, criminal shit, and the only way you can prove that is by getting a credible witness.
Well, that's the other thing. How credible are these witnesses? Okay, something that was in, once again, to quote JFK, a line that was in JFK that's always stuck with me. Why does a witness have to have bad eyesight just because she's a hooker? You know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah. Just because a person's done some fucked up shit doesn't necessarily mean that their word is do. You know what I'm saying?
Well, also, there's the idea that there's a lot of talk about possible book deal being thrown around by the Republicans as a way to slander him and say that his behavior is born out of greed, right? That is the motivation for him. He wants that $1 million book deal. But
I mean, that is. I have to say, to me, that's more damning than crimes committed with the person you're testifying against.
You can damn somebody's motivation, but that doesn't mean that makes them a better liar, right? It's a person's testimony only means something if it actually can be corroborated, or you can say, well, your testimony actually makes sense of these disconnected events that we are looking at and trying to find the connection, and your testimony brings that together. But that doesn't mean it stops there. It's like any other, like any interrogation would be. I mean, you pick it apart, and he's got this story to tell, and he's telling it publicly now. And unless he is like sociopathic level liar, he's going to contradict himself. The more he talks about this, he's going to contradict himself if he's lying. So it's not really about can you trust his motivation. It's only about the only thing that we judge anybody's truth or falseness on in any statement in any situation. How consistent is it?
Yeah, took the words right out of my mouth.
That's how we judge it. And I mean, so far, I mean, I haven't. You can slander somebody's motivations, but that's not proof. If you can show me where he's openly contradicting his own story, if these events change, if the story starts to change.
No, I'm not.
That's what can discredit him. Otherwise, his testimony is as solid as anybody else's, regardless of crimes they did or did not commit in their past.
But the character issue, though, is a byproduct of the legal system and the reasonable doubt thing.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Aaron. I totally agree with you. But the problem is that, I mean,
you just got to get one person to go, not buying it. That's all you got. That's your job as a lawyer.
Exactly.
Right. Get the expert witness to go, well,
Well, I mean,
just get one of those 12 people to go, I'm not buying it.
Think back to the OJ. Think back to the OJ trial. There was,
but his testimony isn't convicting Trump, though. Let's not mix this up.
No, but
what I'm saying is, if you go back to the OJ trial, there was 2 eyewitnesses that gave their statement to the police and gave a deposition that they saw OJ in the Bronco leaving Nicole's house minutes after the crime was committed. Then what happened? They accepted, I think one accepted $5,000, one accepted $20,000. They went on like Inside Edition and some other, on television tabloid from back in the day. And the prosecution was like, now they're tainted. And they never called them to testify because they knew that the defense would have a field day, right or wrong, for the reasons Chris just said. It just, all you have to do is convince one person that goes, sounds like you're in it for the money. You just wanted a story to tell and you wanted to get paid, so I'm not buying it.
Right. Well, but if Cohen was not directly associated with Trump, but just, let's say, came across all this information that he was presenting, and then we found out actually that he was paid by Trump. Oh, what's this check with your name on it that Trump signed then? That's tainted. You can't really,
Absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
When you're coming from a position of, hey, I worked for this guy and this is all the shit that we did, that shit doesn't taint you. Doesn't necessarily make you a more credible or believable witness. And certainly that would be an issue if we were talking about a situation where this witness was supposed to convince a jury.
Well, and it also, and this is just the sad part. It's just the sad reality we live in. The people who think that this is a witch hunt against Trump, it doesn't matter if they have a smoking gun. It doesn't matter if they have pictures.
Yes.
The earth is flat. Exactly. Yes. You're exactly right.
It's like Dave Chappelle in that R. Kelly skit. It's like, I'm going to need a picture of him holding the ID.
With his grandma.
His grandma in the room.
That's my Robert, always pissing on people.
Yeah.
But no, sadly, that's when you guys said you hadn't really been paying attention to the testimony.
I read summaries of it. I didn't watch any of the actual footage. I read stories about it. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I've listened to stories and I've read a few. I didn't watch it myself because, and I didn't do what I normally do. I didn't even bother to scroll down into the comments because I can't take it. I can't take it. I can't take it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what proof you have. This did or didn't happen. And that's what I believe. And you'll never change my mind. Because the minute I hear that, I'm just like, lost cause. I mean...
Going on almost a year not scrolling down, Rich. It's nice. Just try it.
God damn it. In so many ways, I'm a fucking lost cause. But I rarely ever say, you'll never change my mind about something. If you can give me facts and you can show me proof, then I will go, yeah, you're right. I don't like you. Fuck you. Suck my open asshole. But you're right. And I'll concede the point. But so many people are incapable of doing that I can't deal with it. I can't deal with it.
It doesn't have that instinct that they can't be able to be in a situation and go, well, I'm outclassed here. The evidence is against me. Well, you're right. You know?
On the other hand, I mean, it's going to take something like a Manchurian Candidate story for me to believe that he's in any way innocent, regardless of what the Mueller report says at this point.
Oh, I'm just saying, there's a couple mirrors in the house. Maybe you need to look into them. I don't know.
It's fine,
I'm not angry. I don't hate you. I don't feel the need to personally attack you because you said that. That's the difference. Like the type of people I'm talking about are the type of people that take, I don't agree with you as a personal insult, as violence towards them almost. It's as visceral as you punching them in the face. And I can't deal with those people anymore. Like, okay, you don't like parts of a person, you don't like, beliefs a person has, reconcile yourself with that and deal with them accordingly. And if that means not dealing with them, then don't deal with them. There's no victim, no crime here, But at the same time, it's just I think I've said this multiple times on the show. Do I believe that Trump's involved in some shady shit, et cetera, when it comes to Russia? Yes. Yeah. Why? Well,
okay. So if you're admitting that, then why am I the one that has to look in the mirror?
Because
are you going to be convinced that the Mueller report says, hey, we couldn't find anything? I'm like, well, because I'm going to think, well, he's there. They just didn't find it.
I guess a modified version of what you just said. I'm going to think, well, damn, he's better at hiding the shit than I gave him credit for.
Right.
But that's the thing. What my beliefs are and what I can prove are two different things. Maybe, and I know that sounds like some Orwellian doublespeak or some shit, but that's how our system of law works. It's not what you know; it's what you can prove in a courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I may know for a fact that Pookie shot Little John on the corner of Michigan and Lanyo because I saw it. But if I can't prove that shit, he ain't going to prison for it. You know what I'm saying? That's all there is to it. End the story. And you either come to terms with that, or you fight to try to change it, or you accept that we have a flawed system because nothing's perfect.
Well, here's another difference for you. Just because if the Mueller report says we couldn't find anything on him, and I still think he's guilty, I'm not going to then say, well, he should still be impeached, right? Because if he can't be kicked out of office through the process, then that's it. Whether you want to believe that the system failed us, or that he was too slick to get a hold of, or that he's completely innocent, or whatever, that's the end of it. We live with Trump until we can get him out of office, the electoral way.
That's the system we live in, as goddamn, you're almost making me sound hopeful and optimistic. As fucked up as the system can be, have we found a better one yet?
Yeah.
I'm all for roll out the guillotines, but but just to do it arbitrarily,
right? The only surefire
that's anarchy.
The only surefire way to make sure that every criminal is punished is to accept the fact that innocence will be punished as well.
And that's why I fall on the side of I'd rather 10 guilty men walk free than one innocent man be put to death.
Right, because you're for the idea of freedom.
As
dying notion.
fucked up as that is. I mean, apparently, I didn't realize it was a bad thing until last couple of years. But
but you know what? I'm surprised
breaking a couple legs.
It got kind of buried under all the palace intrigue this week and the Trump-Kim summit, but
Trump finally went to Vietnam 50 years too late.
Right. He still cut out early?
Yeah, exactly. He was spraying bug repellent on his feet. I can't walk, Sergeant. I got to go home.
That's like the only time that I think that I've sympathized with Trump's way of thinking, because they were talking about, Cohen mentions Vietnam, and he says they spoke about it. I think Cohen asked him if he served in Vietnam, and he's like, no, I'm too smart for that. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'd fucking say too. I'd find some way out of it, and if somebody asked me, like, I'm too smart for that shit. But anyway.
Well, I mean, yeah. It's not like that was a...
I'm also not planning on running for office in the future. If I...
Not anymore.
Wait a minute. Wait. So I have to get rid of all these Aaron for Livonia city councilmen?
Right.
like flyers that I've had printed up?
Damn it.
No, but there was
T-shirts.
The House actually passed some gun control legislation. We'll see where it goes. But it's almost ridiculous how fine we have to slice these issues. They're getting pushback on legislation that would just basically end the loopholes for registration, right? Cover shit like private sales and trade shows and all that shit, and make sure that everyone who has a firearm has it properly registered, the same way that we do with every car in this country. And in order to
shoot it down, because it's all about I win.
And they got it passed because they have the majority. They did get some Republican support because they put in language that would require gun dealers and people selling guns I guess they have to report. Their report goes to the FBI. So the FBI then, if they get somebody that they believe to be an illegal alien that is applying for a weapon, that they have to then report that to ICE.
So you want to sell it to the Senate. The right controls the Senate. You got to make them seem, if they vote on this bill, they hate America.
I don't know if that's going to be enough for the Senate to get it through. That little ICE incentive.
You will hate America. You will hate children. You will hate Jesus. If bill down.
Those two facets of the same legislation, their support was divided right down party lines, and it all just. How is this not just practical sense? I mean, I'm not for expanding necessarily the powers of ICE, but if that's a system that we have, and somebody who is illegally in this country is applying to own a weapon,
we should probably know about that.
Right. I don't want that to happen. That seems just practical. And the idea that if I go to buy a gun at a gun store, that I have to fill out an application that goes to the FBI. But if I go to Gibraltar Trade Center, I don't have to do that.
Like if we buy a car,
it makes no sense.
If we buy a car, we have to tell the state government about it. Why don't we do that with a gun?
Right. I mean, even if I'm buying it off of a friend or a relative, even if the car has been given to me, I still have to register it in my name. I can't just drive it around with the old registration.
Someone gives you a car, you still have to tell the state about it. Why can't we do that with guns? What's so wrong with that?
And so this is being talked about like it's a gun control bill. But how is that how is that not just
it's all
practical?
About in.
It's common sense. Close up the loopholes that we have in our existing laws. That's not about. I mean, is it going to result in more guns being registered in this country?
Well,
yeah.
I mean, like
someone with a D wrote this bill. I can't vote for.
Let me play the role Chris usually plays, and I'll play contrarian for the sake of. I'm thinking of a very particular situation. My stepmother, when her father died, inherited a flintlock pistol. And I'm talking think Revolutionary War era. Mm-hmm. And there's no serial numbers on that motherfucker. There's no way to. There's no way
give
to
a fuck.
There's no way to track that. But at the same time, it takes me.
Got to register it.
It takes me a minute and a half in black powder that I can hardly find anymore between shots.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying.
And if we find somebody that was gunned down by a flintlock, we'll know where to come looking.
Okay, but
get a Stutz Bearcat. You still got to register that shit.
The problem I can see is that if police, for whatever reason, want to go into somebody's home and they have a search warrant and they find that, they'll go, we found an unregistered weapon. That's all they have to put. You found a fucking black powder pistol. What am I going to do? Shoot up some redcoats? Fuck off. You know what I'm saying? Like
function.
But I mean, once again, I am completely admitting I am playing devil's advocate and I'm being contrary for the sake of. Dude, look, I don't want unregistered weapons out there.
Why do you hate children, Rich?
I can give you many reasons, but none of them have to do with the fact that I believe in the Second Amendment.
Why do you want errant kids to die at school, Rich?
I've gotten to know them personally. I don't want them to die at school. You know what I'm saying? Like,
think. That's the new way of thinking now.
Unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
You know, I don't want any children to die. I just want them to shut up until they're 18. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
if you and Dianne Feinstein. Oh, did you guys see? We talked about that. Did you guys see that last week?
Wait a minute. And this is probably more interesting than the point I was attempting to make. Go ahead.
Middle schoolers or early high schoolers protesting about the Green New Deal, like telling Dianne Feinstein like she has to vote for it, and she pretty much said, "Hey, I've been in this business for 30 years. No one tells me how to vote." It pretty much said, "Hey, shut up."
Wait a minute. Whoa.
Pretty much said, "Shut up, adults are talking." And Twitter scorched her for it.
Did she say afterward, "No one tells me how to vote unless they sign a check"?
I'm paraphrasing her. Let me find it because now I feel like I'm.
Because right. that's more accurate. I mean, so don't if she literally said, even if you're paraphrasing it and she said something that's self-righteous, fuck that cunt. You're a politician. You've already been bought and fucking sold, you bitch. Shut your fucking mouth. Don't act like you have more of a right to speak. And yes, I was joking. I don't want children to shut up. Can we dial them down a little bit and understand that they don't have that much life experience? Can we take that into consideration, please? That's more what I'm getting at. You know?
This was another case of judging a situation based on a small video clip where the full video actually did come out that shows her having an extended conversation with these kids. That it wasn't her walking out of her office and they're like, "You got to sign the new Green Deal or else," and she flips them the bird and keeps walking. Then sunglasses drop on top of her head. She's like, deal with it.
He's just here. Smoke weed every day.
Hey, here you go, Rich. One of the students, an unidentified 16-year-old, was quoted by the Washington Post. "We have come to a point where our Earth is dying, and it is literally a pricey and ambitious plan that is needed to deal with the magnitude of that issue. So we're asking you to vote yes on the resolution for the Green New Deal. Because," and then Feinstein interrupted her saying, "the resolution will not pass the Senate, and you can take that back to whoever sent you here." She added, I know it can pass, and I know what can't pass." And apparently she hates children, according to Twitter, because she said that.
Well, I mean, Twitter can eat
which is ridiculous because she treated the kids like an adult, like adults.
Yeah.
She actually showed them a little bit of respect and gave them the truth, and not just try and placate them and go, "Oh yeah, I truly believe that this thing is." I mean, clearly, I think it's debatable whether you should, even if you don't think that it can pass, I think shit like this should be supported because we certainly, if it's not going to be this plan, it's got to be some kind of plan.
Well, I'm glad you brought this up, Chris, because you bring up a point that has irked me with a lot of people I've talked to about the subject. Like the new Green Deal, I think, Aaron, I'm sorry, I think you weren't on the show that Chris and I actually went down the bullet points of the entire thing. But for the most part, if I'm remembering correctly, Chris and I agreed with most of the points that were made.
Mm-hmm.
There was some that was like, get the fuck out of here. It has nothing to do with the environment. You're trying trying to put some pork in there, for your pet issue, whatever. But I mean, look, I'm not Bill Maher about the environment. Like, I don't, I'm not like, oh, well, we got 12 years and then we're going to die and it's going to turn into The Road. And Viggo Mortensen's only got one bullet for me or him, and I'm pissed off about it. Like, I'm not that, but I just like flat earthers, just like, anything else, there is a scientific consensus that, yes, humans are affecting climate change. Climate change happens whether we're here or not. We're just making it happen rapidly.
Yes.
I'm in the boat of, though, like, don't poison the drinking water, but the planet's going to plan it. Like, well, it's quite hubris to think that we will speed it up or slow it down.
Well, that's
no, but we can look. The planet is going to be fine either way. That's not the issue. The issue is, what's our experience on this planet going to be like?
Can we make the planet? Can we do so much shit that we make the planet inhabitable for us? And I think the answer is pretty clearly yes. Don't you remember, like, in the 80s, pictures of the Tokyo, LA skyline, where it was just thick ass smog. There was advisories if you have breathing problems, don't go outside,
Beijing,
et cetera.
And it's changed.
Exactly. Why? Because we
legislation.
This is where my libertarian friends are going to be like, fuck you, Rich. Yes, because we passed laws.
Yeah.
And yes, some laws are good, some laws are bullshit, some laws are bad. That was a good law. I don't mind, Aaron. I don't think you should have to wear a respirator to go outside so I can drive a fucking 71 Hemi Cuda getting 2 miles to the gallon. Okay.
Yeah. And this idea that, well, that's not the government's job to do, that's the government's only job, right? We have a government to accomplish big things. That is the reason why. Not to nitpick us to death with taxes and traffic tickets. It's to fight the wars that need to be fought, to protect the land that needs to be protected, and to move fucking mountains, build lakes, just to change our environment, the country that we live in for the better. And this is just one more of those things. This is a big public works project that needs to be undertaken 10 years ago.
Well, I mean, absolutely, we're behind the curve. Oh, shit, I just realized what I said. No pun intended.
Oh, no.
We're behind the pace car on this one. There's threw a little nugget for our NASCAR friends. But I absolutely agree. And how could you listen to the scientific community who are experts in this, and the vast, overwhelming majority of them agree, and go, yeah, but 2% don't. Yeah, that's like the 9 out of 10 doctors agree you should brush your teeth. Who's the one doctor? What asshole is in the business of making false teeth?
Anybody who spouts that nonsense, just ask them, okay, you've got cancer, right? 98% of the doctors say you got cancer, and unless you get treatment for it, you're going to die. And 2% of the doctors that we showed you results to said you're perfectly fine. Who do you want to believe?
Well, if you're my mother, you believe the 2% and you die. That's what happens, because that's exactly what she did. She went for the holistic bullshit, you don't need this, don't listen to your fucking doctors. U of M doctors in a cancer ward? What do they know?
You just put it in God's hands.
Yeah, don't you understand? Well, I took a seminar over the weekend.
God doesn't like days.
Me. Yeah. God hates me. Hate him back. Works for me. But no, you're absolutely right. And it's just, if you talk to people and you're like, okay. So you don't believe things that we do as humans can change our environment around us. Why don't you believe that? And or why do you believe that the vast majority of scientists believe that? Because they're bought and paid for. By who? By the alternative energy people.
What was the phrase? The powers
that should not be. Yes, capital letters every beginning of every word. And I'm just really. Do you think their lobby is that strong compared to like the fossil fuel lobby? Really? I mean, you really think that like there's a lobbyist for solar panels that can even give Exxon a run for its money as far as the checks they can write?
Yeah, you can't really have it both ways. Like, they're incredibly wealthy and powerful, but also incredibly stupid. They have enough money and influence to buy off 98% of the scientists and not enough to just make practical solar panels popular in the U.S. That's beyond their reach.
And I'm not shitting on people who question, like, okay, well, how much of an effect do we have? That's okay. Fair question. All right. And yes, maybe that needs to be debated in a public forum, and we need to roll that out. But
no, it doesn't. It needs to be debated in the scientific forum, believed by the public, or else why do we have a scientific community if we're not going to believe them?
That's what I misspoke. Once again, Aaron has said something a lot more eloquently than I meant to. No, you're absolutely right. You're right. But that's not the argument. The argument is, it's either real or it's not. And okay, we've moved past that. If 98% of people told you that if I shot you in the chest at point blank range with a 50 caliber handgun, you're going to die, would you go, and fuck you, faggot, pull the trigger. I got the 2% on my side. No, you wouldn't do it.
That's like when I had my wisdom teeth removed, and they said, they put me under. Hey, there's a 10% chance you're going to wake up. I said, then that means, or you're not going to wake up. I said, that means there's a 90% chance I am. Give me the fucking gas. Take those odds.
It's.
Did they really say 10%? There's no way there's a 10% chance.
Dude, this was like anesthesia in like 1998. All right, this is like
that's still bull.
This is back when they were sawing off limbs.
Yeah,
hey, give him some whiskey to drink.
I got a Bud Light right for it. Yes.
Here's this piece of twig. Bite down on that.
Right. Even if there was a 10% chance that your heart could stop, that doesn't still mean that you're not going to wake up. They don't just then go, "Oh, geez, we lost another one," and toss your ass in the dumpster and say next.
No, that's
every 100 surgeries you're carting somebody out of here. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, no. That's when
10 surgeries.
Like JD runs in, pushes the dentist aside, straddles you, and starts, "I need the paddles, stat," and starts pumping your chest to the tune of fucking staying alive.
The whole reason that dentists are trying to push their patients away from this is because it's a liability they feel is unnecessary. It's a risk for them. If they put somebody under and something goes wrong, that dentist is probably not going to work again.
Yeah, you don't want to be known as a dentist that has 1 in 10 patients dying on your fucking table as they're extracting a tooth.
Nickname's Dr. Death.
Right.
And really, they put you under for that? The one tooth I've had pulled, I was wide awake for.
Trust me. It was my wisdom teeth, and it was like all of them.
Oh, I figured you'd be awake for that the whole time.
Oh, I was nah,
just numbed up like and not giving a fuck like I was.
Feet asleep. All right.
Oh, you had that good insurance. I had that $100. You can pull this. I could pull your tooth.
Yeah, General Motors insurance for the buyout or the bailout.
Yeah, no, I had that. The doctor from Little Shop of Horrors, Steve Martin. Like, you sure you need some? I can just do it without any anesthesia. No, well, I'm gonna need something.
The doctor on his sign is in parentheses.
Yeah. He walks in. Hi, everybody. Hi, Dr. Nick.
Dr. Steve.
Well, before we wrap this up, which we do have to do here pretty quick, did we want to get into the Bill Maher thing? Because Chris, you brought it up, and I know you said
what was the Bill Maher thing?
Well, Chris, you brought it up, so
yeah, let me read it. It was. I think it was. He was talking about Amazon pulling out of New York, and did any of you guys see it or read it?
Yes, I saw that. I watched the episode.
Yeah, he's. I think I didn't see it. I read it, but it comes off to me as he perhaps tried to give the Midwest a compliment, and instead, pretty much like My whole impression after reading it was, "Gee, Bill, it's amazing I can find a voting booth." Was that kind of shit.
He was talking about the flyover states want to be like the coastal elites.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the. It just takes me to his Twitter account. Let me find the goddamn.
See, I didn't get that either. I didn't hear that they wanted to be the elites. They want some of the prosperity that happens in cities, that they would welcome that they need more opportunities so they don't have to be coal miners and shit. I mean, he's done plenty of slagging on middle America, and I didn't see that this was it. If you don't have to look very far to find those jokes.
Here we go. It's we have a problem in America called spatial geographic inequality, which means that the most affluent and educated people are clustered in just a few cities.
Right, which is just, I mean, if you consider being called uneducated and not affluent an insult, then sure, be insulted.
The blue parts of America are having a big prosperity party while that big sea of red feels like their invitation got lost in the mail. And they still use the mail. Like that kind of right there. They turn on the TV and all the shows take place in a few hip cities. There's no Real Housewives of Toledo or CSI Lubbock. There are no red carpets in Wyoming, and no one ever asks you, who are you wearing? Because the answer is always Target.
Well, to be fair, CSI Lubbock is in production right now.
Yes. There are two Americas. We have Chef Wolfgang Puck. They have Chef Boyardee. Our roofs have solar panels. Theirs have last year's Christmas lights. We've got legal bud. They've got bud. We have anal bleaching. They've got Congressman Steve King. Flyover states have become the passed-over states. That's why red state voters are so pissed off. They don't hate us. They want to be us. They want to go to that party. Or they want to go to the party.
Yeah.
To me, it kind of, like I said, maybe because I read it and didn't see it, like, it seems like there's a few little jabs in there. You know, like that.
Well, of course there are. That's Bill Maher.
ARD.
He's a first of all, he's a comedian, and jokes are, for at least half the time, jabs that you're taking a shot at somebody, and it's funny. I mean, I can take a joke. I get what he's saying. The problem that I have with what he's saying, which is maybe I'm reading too much into this, which I probably am, but whatever. So what? That's what we do on this show.
We're not Cletus the slack-jawed yokel.
The problem I have is that he's like, you're not well educated. Oh, okay. All right. I'm sorry. What's your alma mater, Bill? Yale, Princeton? Oh, that's right. You probably didn't go to college. Yet you consider yourself.
He did. Yeah.
What college did he go to? What community college did he graduate from?
I don't.
Something like
no. He went to a real college. I remember him talking about selling weed while he was in college.
See, I just took that when I heard that. I took it as a joke. I thought he was trying to be funny. I didn't realize he was being serious. But fair enough. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, he went to Cornell.
Well, there you go. Prestigious school. I mean, I'm sure he drank less than if he went to Michigan State, but more than if he went to Michigan. So yeah, fair enough. But my point is, this attitude that which seems to come from people in Hollywood and yes, people in New York, L.A., and we've talked about it before, is, oh well, what piece of lambskin do you have that says you're educated? It's like, I hate to break this to you, but some of the most intelligent people I've ever met never went to college. And I really hate to break it to you, but most of the big breakthroughs in history, in human history, were by people who didn't go to one of your prestigious fucking schools. All right?
Yeah, but
intelligence and education are mutually exclusive at times.
Plenty of morons with college degrees.
Thank you. I've worked for a bunch of them.
Because you sat in a classroom for an extra 4 years doesn't, you took a bunch of classes. It doesn't make you intelligent.
No, that's absolutely true, but that's not really the point that he's trying to make either. I mean, education is just another statistic to help prove his point. I know that it's not. Surely there's plenty of you can point to individual examples of people that are outliers of this, but whether you like it or not, education says something about a person in general in America.
There's
their level of success.
States.
There's
a University of Missouri. You can go to.
No, but what he's looking at is statistically, those people are going to college less than people who live in major cities.
Well, this could start up the whole wealth gap conversation again, because rural communities are
Horror.
just horror.
No, that's
urban communities.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That those statistics do go hand in hand.
Well,
I think the confusion here is you're looking at him saying uneducated as meaning that people are stupid, and that's an assumption. He doesn't say that, and then he makes jokes certainly about the middle class, but he's not saying that you're uneducated because you're stupid.
See, I understand what you're saying. The problem is that at some point in my lifetime, being called blue collar went from just, okay, so you are a skilled tradesman or you went to a trade school, to now it's an insult.
Yeah, it went from being salted. It meant when we were coming up, it meant you were like a salt of the earth, down to earth kind of person. Now it means you're an idiot.
All right, but is that because of Bill Maher?
No, it's because we've had a bunch of white-collar lawyers running this country for goddamn too long. And surprise, surprise, you get a bunch of fucking lawyers in office. What do? You get a bunch of people who act in their own best interest and then pander to people when election time comes. And those people all have educations from prestigious schools even. They didn't go to some place like Duke. What's wrong with them? Couldn't get into UNC? Yes, I realize I should have reversed that, but too late now. It's already out there.
Sorry.
I don't know. This is just every time I watch Bill Maher's show, there's some story that pops up in next day's Google News feed that's some hit piece on Bill Maher about how he said something outrageous, and then
he's a comedian. That's what he's supposed to do.
And then everyone who already doesn't like him and doesn't watch the show anyway spouts off about it. About why is anyone still paying attention to this dinosaur, and he needs to just go away, and I can't believe HBO still pays him. And then we all forget about it, and then he says something outrageous the next week, and the cycle repeats.
You're right, because I'm recalling a conversation I had with my little brother a couple months ago, where I asked him about, hey, did you see what Bill Maher said? And he goes, Bill Maher, I don't watch him. Fucking centrist. I don't watch that shit. He's not a fucking liberal whatsoever. He's not on the left. Then you talk to old fucking Republicans, they're like, I don't watch that fucking commie.
Yeah.
That fucking piece of shit.
Pinko.
Fucking faggot ass. Might as well just take a dick on his fucking, on his show. And I'm like, maybe that's why, I like Bill Maher. I watch Bill Maher. I like him. I don't agree with everything he says, but I don't have to agree with everything everybody fucking says.
Right, because it's not a fucking news show. It's entertainment.
Exactly.
And if some interesting ideas are exchanged in the process, then all the better for it.
It's like when he did his monologue on fucking Kevin Smith and comic books and, comic book movies are stupid and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, it's coming from the dude who did Amazon Women on the Moon. Like, really, bro?
Most of his critics aren't even having the same conversation. You call him anti-Islamic, and he's like, yeah, I hate all religions. Including Islam.
Exactly. But you got to tiptoe around Islam because they'll actually kill you if you piss them off. So
right. And also, people who are saying that calling him anti-Islamic, they think that that's akin to calling them racism because they're simple-minded. They don't understand that Islam isn't a race.
That's
perfectly acceptable to criticize religion. Race is a different thing.
Yeah, you can't choose your race. You choose your religion. Or you're born into your religion. But you can. Let's be honest here.
That's true. I had no choice about being Catholic till I became an adult.
But this is kind of what I was. This is like the point that I was trying to make about the Jussie Smollett thing. Is that this is like his religion, right? This is why he's not acting insane, in my opinion. He's acting according to his religion. It just so happens that his religion is victimhood culture.
Well, if that's the new religion that's on the rise, then you know what? Fuck it. That just shoved me off the fence over to atheist.
I think that's rising faster than the flat earthers. I hate to tell you.
Yeah, because it's more acceptable. It's amazing, But you hear someone, are you a victim? or remember the push for there's no such thing as rape victims, there's rape survivors. It was like 15, 20 years ago, like the push to change how we referred to them. And it wasn't like a politically correct thing. It was just like, let's be honest here. They survived this situation. That's something, and they persevered over it. That's something you should be proud of. You shouldn't dwell on the fact that it happened to you. You should dwell on the fact that, or take pride in the fact that you overcame it. This was a fucked up thing that happened to you that should have never happened to you, yet you've persevered in spite of. It seems like we've went backwards, and now it's like, well, victim of this, victim of this, victim of circumstance, victim of this. Well, all right. Well, I mean, if that's the case, like I said, we're all victims of something. We all had, we either had parents that didn't love us, teachers didn't give a fuck, learning disability, something. I mean, at a certain point, we start keeping score. And life turns into a fucking scorecard.
If you keep dwelling on what held you back, you never move forward.
Yeah. Well, look, and the only thing that holds anyone back ultimately is themselves. Not that other people can't hold you back. It is possible, but even if you're successful, you're still your own worst enemy.
Jesse Smollett, looking at you.
Wow. Well, let's see what next week's victim is going to look like, because there's going to be more.
It's true. Maybe it'll be a guy with an orange face, but we can dream, can't we? Till then.
Oh yeah, but he likes to play the victimhood card too, just as much as anyone else. Very unfair. Very unfair.
I am the most maligned president in the history of this country.
Right.
Abraham Lincoln and JFK got something to say about that, buddy.
Not yet.
Prank caller. I don't know who this is.
Now I have to give up parts that identify us. We're on Twitter and on Regimented Pod.
Where to find us?
Yeah. Tweet us or email us on regimentedchristianmedia.net. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, christianmedia.net. New shows every Saturday. Thanks for listening, new listeners. See ya, and I'll see you next week.
See ya.
Later.
unregimented.
ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.